Let's see.
What? Oh no! Flushable wipes! Trash it! Don't splash it!
I've been waiting for this for weeks. I gotta tell you, I am so ready to do this. I even have the bed ready.
What?
So when you get home, we can get really dirty. Hey, here you go. With all this compost, we're gonna have the best plants in the neighborhood.
What a beautiful day to celebrate the City of Orlando's first trail overpass as part of Good afternoon. It's October the 5th, 2020, and we have two city council meetings scheduled for today. First is agenda reviews, followed by the regularly scheduled Orlando City Council meeting. We continue to meet virtually, and we'll do so at least through the end of this month under the governor's order. Let's start our agenda review meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any requests for appearance on items on the consent agenda or CRA?
Yes, Mayor, we received two requests to speak during agenda review. Up first is Jordan Thies on item C15. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes to speak.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
My apologies. My name is Jordan Thies, and my address is 3109 Rayford Road. And I'm the applicant for Blue Apartments. All right. So everyone here is aware of the dire need for affordable housing options in the Orlando metropolitan area. In 2019, the National Low-Income Housing Coalition ranked Orlando as the worst city in the country when it comes to availability of affordable housing. The Orlando area needs to build 115,000 affordable units just to meet current demand, but don't forget the 1,000 additional people moving to Central Florida every week. Fortunately, there are only 660 affordable units set to be constructed in Orlando in all of 2020, which makes the construction of the Blue Apartments even more vital to the future health of our city. This development alone represents 11% of all affordable housing stock in the pipeline for the Orlando MSA. The Blue Apartments will be 72 units consisting of 60 one-bedroom, one-bath, and 12 two-bedroom, two-bath units. 65 of these units will be reserved for low-income tenants. To put that in dollar terms, the one-bedrooms will rent for $650, the two-bedrooms will rent for $770. For comparison, in the Cimarron submarket, the average one-bedroom rents for $1,120, and the two bedrooms go for $1,345, meaning these affordable apartments will be rented for nearly half price, a massive savings for the rent burden in Orlando. Exactly who are the types of renters that would qualify for one of these affordable apartments? There are a considerable amount of Orlando workers making less than the 60% of the area median income that qualifies as low-income renter, including waiters, cooks, bartenders, baristas, receptionists, landscapers, security guards, warehouse workers, cashiers, and retail salespeople. When it comes to a location that can marry affordable housing with accessibility, I cannot think of a better spot than Cimarron Boulevard. Our team has met with the city staff over 5 different times. In order to accommodate their wishes for this project, we've added underground stormwater storage, plus additional architectural elements, all at considerable increased construction costs. But the city also recognizes this project is located in an intensive urban corridor and thereby granted some parking concessions. There is 1 parking space per unit, plus 10 motorcycle spaces and 16 bike spaces. This site is well situated for an urban lifestyle, located near the corner of Cimarron Boulevard, one of the largest thoroughfares in Orange County. There are myriad transportation options on Cimarron. There are also numerous amenities when walking distance from the property. A Presidente supermarket is across the street, The Inglewood Neighborhood Community Center is around the corner, which has a pool, basketball court, soccer field, computer learning center. This is next door to the Inglewood Elementary School and Jackson Middle School. An urgent medical care facility is down the street, and adult education courses are offered at nearby Kaiser University. Most everything that is needed for day-to-day living is less than 1 mile from this property. There are 2 major bus lines that have bus stops on the corner, and these bus lines provide convenient access to the largest employers in Central Florida. Or residents could take a 30-minute bike ride to MCO or a 30-minute bike ride to downtown Orlando, thanks to Commissioner Stewart's proposed Anderson Street dedicated bike path. To prospective tenants, I would say, come move to the Blue Apartments. With a plethora of affordable transportation options, why be stuck with the expense of a car? Instead, tenants can opt for public transport, ride apps like Uber, short ride transit options like Bird or Lime bikes, moped, motorcycles, or just walk. This property is not located in a transportation desert, but instead located in the heart of a vibrant city. We do have a plan to address any parking situations and avoid possible code violations. At our other Orlando area properties, we successfully implemented a parking program utilizing a hang tag system where a tow truck company will randomly patrol the premises. Any car without a registered hang tag will be removed, thereby ensuring the parking spaces are available for registered residents. I would like to point out a mobility study undertaken by the U.S. Department of Transportation. They concluded that 1 of every 4 low-income households did not own a car. Therefore, we anticipate the parking needs to be less than the standard market rate apartment. I ask you a simple question. Is it more important to house cars or to house human beings? Please vote with your heart, vote with your conscience, vote for your constituents, and vote for the citizens of Orlando. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thies. Madam Clerk, we have one more, you say?
Yes. Next, we have Cody Hughes on item K2. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Everybody? Thank you very much. My name is Cody Hughes. I live at 2606 Bluebonnet Street. This is my 4th time addressing the local government of Orlando in as many weeks. It may as well be my first time considering the amount of attention and support I've gotten from some members of this council. For weeks now, I've asked for more help for the working class staff of MCO and by extension, this city. I've asked for this council to use their power to examine the laws that they claim keep them from enforcing employment mandates on corporations such as HMS Host. We haven't asked for much, just a chance to continue working after this pandemic. Instead, your inaction has allowed HMS Host and companies like them to use a worldwide pandemic as an excuse to purge employees and crush attempts to unionize. It is disgusting. As a further slap in the face, this council proves that it is capable of some form of action. However, you see today Mayor Demings is getting confirmed as treasurer. Today, after ignoring the concession employees that operate under GOA for months, Demings will now be in control of their treasury. The thing is, these meetings may only last a few hours for you, but for us, this is actually a major part of our lives. We first go to speak to you, then we march at the airport, we carry signs in the heat, we go miles in circles in what is a beautiful metaphor for dealing with this council. We shout and bleed and sweat in the streets and hot pavement for our cause while you sit in a comfortable leather chair in an air-conditioned office and lie to us about how you feel our pain. You see, you have words but not action. Allow me to ask you this. If I tell you I'm going to vote for you, but I don't actually show up to the polls, have I helped you? Would you call me an ally? Do my thoughts and prayers keep you in office, or do you need more than that? Because when we march, we take note of who has showed up and who has made actions to support us. And here I would like to thank Commissioner Bakari Burns for his continued support and Commissioner Regina Hill for meeting with us and asking the hard questions. We have never seen you, Mayor Dyer, or Mayor Demings, however. If all we can get from the county and city mayors is your thoughts and prayers while you encourage us to get other jobs, then that is the most you can expect from us during election season. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Madam Clerk, was that the end of the testimony?
Yes, Mayor, that's all the public comment we have
Okay.
for agenda review.
Move to Commissioner comments or questions. Commissioner Gray, you're first up.
No comments, sir.
Commissioner Ortiz.
No comments.
Commissioner Stewart.
All okay, Mayor.
Commissioner Sheehan,
Met with staff virtually, and I got everything resolved, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes, I've met with staff, but I do have some questions, Mayor Dyer. My first one is on B11. That is the Creative Village Park. And I think and I am a supporter of Collage. I am not denying that they should be the ones chosen to do this. I think we've already did that. But what I am concerned about, Mayor Dyer, is that the blueprint, after me discussing this previously on, was not attached to this. And more so, they've made the numbers when it comes to subs. I'm not concerned about that. But the employment piece, Mayor Dyer, which is detrimental to the people of Paramore, is to work on our city projects within that area. And the way that it is now, we would have to once again have good faith with the subcontractors for them to hire folks from within the Paramore area if the blueprint is not attached to it. So I'm hoping that we can make an addendum or revise the contract so that employment piece will be there on that blueprint to build out that part. And also on B14, which I'm in support of, but I was hoping after this vote today, and I've spoken with Dave Arnott and CAO Kevin Edmonds, in which they said they will take another look at it to where we can get a few more dollars to add on the Mercy Drive piece. Right now, we only have Paramore and Washington Shores. And I think all of us can agree that there is great need over in the Mercy Drive, our corridor. So I was hoping that we can find some additional funding for BCU to add on that corridor.
yeah, we can do that, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, sir. How can we fix the blueprint employment piece? I don't have a problem with the subcontractings and all that, but as you know, we do need jobs in that area, and especially during times such as this.
Commissioner Hill, I don't know the status of their existing workforce. So.
Right, and we wouldn't know it unless we have the blueprint. That's the only way we can ask for their existing workforce numbers.
How about if we watch them and work with them and make sure that they do some hiring workshops or whatever, public hall meetings, and get people involved in that way. We'll put Gennaro on that.
Right, and that's part of it. We can do that. I can do that from out of my office, Mayor. And respectfully, sir, you know, watching and they've done a perfect job, a great job over at Lake Larnedune. So I'm going to trust them that they do the right thing, but I'm not into really trusting folk if it's not in black and white and it's not contracted out. You know, I've been here about 8 years. I've been burned a few times by trusting folks when it comes to the dollars.
We'll make sure that doesn't happen on this one.
Okay. So the other thing that I noticed on the contract was when we did decide to use Collage to build that out, they had an African-American partner, Provisions, and I don't see them anywhere on the contract this time. So I was wondering where's Provisions and what is the percentages of them being their partner on this project? I know they're on the one over at Lake Larnedune, and I think they're going to be on this one, but I don't see it here on
Okay,
the contract.
I know they met the 18 and 6. I don't know who exactly their partners are.
Okay, can someone inform me of that? How did Provisions disappear?
Anybody got that? Kevin? Are you on the meeting, Kevin?
Yes, Mayor, one moment. We're unmuting his device.
All right, Mayor, can you see and hear me now?
We can hear you. I don't know if we can see you, but we
All
can.
right, great.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to MBE and procurement to find out who the primes and the subs are on that particular contract and let you know. And I'll try to either send you all of you an email during the session, if that's all right.
Okay, great. And the percentages of them being the prime with them. I would like to know that because I'm going to the phase where I still say it's one thing for them to have these minority primes that are partners, but if they got 95% and giving the minority prime 5%, we still have a problem. And as I move forward, these are some of the things, when we start talking about wealth and equity, all that goes hand in hand. So thank you, Mayor, for obliging me. But I do want to see how the numbers figure out, and numbers to me is dollars.
I'll
Okay.
provide that information, Mayor, as soon as I get it in regards to who the subs and who the prime is on that particular contract.
Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna, for the next set of virtual meetings, I think move the agenda review meeting to 1 o'clock so that if issues come up, it doesn't really make sense for us to do that at 2 o'clock when we don't have time between the agenda review meeting and the council meeting. So I think that I'll move, if everybody's okay with that, move it to 1 o'clock so we at least have some time in between.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, Commissioner Hill?
No, sir, that's all I have.
Burns?
Thank you, Mayor. I've been briefed by staff and all is well. Thank you.
Okay, then we will stand adjourned and we will convene the city commission meeting. I'd ask Commissioner Gray to lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, sir. I will. It seems like almost every day we're faced with some kind of challenge or turbulence in the world. So I'd offer this short prayer of comfort and optimism. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, while we may not completely understand how everything will work out, we trust in you. And while we don't always see the way, we know you will make a way. We have faith that at this very moment, you are touching hearts, opening doors, and lining up the right opportunities. Yes, things may look strained now, but we have faith that our dawn is coming. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
And the pledge. The Pledge Allegiance.
The flag
of
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
Okay, with that, I will call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray,
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Here.
Commissioner Stewart,
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Here,
Commissioner Burns,
Here.
Mayor Dyer.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum with all members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, we have the meeting minutes from the agenda review and city council meetings of September.
So moved.
The first
Second.
budget hearing, September 9th, the second budget hearing, September 21st. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. Was it Commissioner Ortiz?
Yes, sir.
And who was the second?
Second.
By Gray. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we don't have any awards presentations or recognitions today, so I have a few remarks from the mayor's update. As we head into another week, I want to continue to thank our residents who are doing their part to protect our community during the pandemic. Our numbers remain good, even though we have entered into phase 3 of reopening. So we need to continue to wear our mask, wash our hands, social distance, so we can control the impact going forward. And I mentioned to somebody, they were talking about when are we going to get back to normal? Wearing a mask is now the normal. So we need to do that. And all the scientists tell us that that is the most important thing you can do to try to stop the spread of the pandemic. I want to talk about a couple items, the Bowman Group and Bethune-Cookman contracts. Last week, we joined with Chief Roland to announce the Community Trust and Equity Initiative, the City of Orlando's next phase of action to continue further community policing and reform in an effort to address racial inequity in our community. We have two items that we're moving forward today. The first is a contract with the Bowman Group, who perform a thorough independent third-party analysis and make recommendations on reforms for OPD and policies, training, operational practices, accountability systems, and technologies. That'll be led by Dr. Bowman, a former police chief and deputy chief city administrator in Arlington, Texas, who has more than 30 years of experience in these issues. His team includes partnerships with two national not-for-profits committed to excellence in policing, the CNA Institute for Public Research, and Effective Law Enforcement for All. And their team brings extensive knowledge in procedural justice, mental illness, crisis de-escalation. They have backgrounds in serving as federal monitors on President Obama's task force for 21st century policing and as managing director of police reform campaign. The other contract is with Bethune-Cookman Center for Law and Social Justice to launch a unique community engagement program in Paramore and Washington Shores. There'll be interactive training with OPD together with Orlando residents, youth, and leaders. Dr. Randy Nelson will head that up, and Commissioner Hill, we will look at the other two neighborhoods that you mentioned during your agenda review. And I think that the community engagement input is really going to be critical to this whole operation. And I think they're going to be two teams that are going to work very well together, and we're going to be proud of their work. And I'm also proud that we're not afraid to look under the hood at OPD. We may be doing everything there is to do. We may be doing it all right, but we're going to be proactive and make sure that we meet all the national standards. The other two items I just want to mention are the renewal of our Main Street and Market Street District agreements, and then the CRA Small Business Rental Assistance Program. With that, we'll move to the consent agenda, which are a number of items acted upon through a single vote of council. We give our council members the opportunity to speak on items on the consent agenda, as well as update you on important happenings from their districts. We rotate the order that we do that, and Commissioner Gray is first up today.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple of quick comments and thank you. Last Wednesday night, we did our virtual national night out for District 1, which was quite an experience, but hats off to all the folks at OFD and OPD for organizing that. And we're going to follow up tomorrow night with a couple of actual properly socially distanced events in District 1. But thanks for making the virtual national night out a good event. And also on Friday, this last Friday, attended an exhibit at the Museum of Art called Points of Connection. And I saw the mayor and Commissioner Sheehan there. There may have been others, but it's great to see that the artist behind that was a Lake Nona resident, Jeffrey. And we're lucky to have him in Orlando. He is special. We'll leave it at that. But it was a great exhibit. It's there through the end of the year. So I'd encourage everybody to make an effort to go to the Museum of Art and see it. It really is, it's well done. So with that, I'll go to the agenda real quick. Did want to comment, like I do every year, on items A3 through 5. These are our, our community partners who continue to make Orlando the place it is to live and to raise our families. So thanks to all those groups that help make Orlando a better place. And it's kind of the city's small way of helping their efforts. But congrats and thank you to all those organizations that we're going to assist. And then I do want to talk about item C15. The gentleman, the sponsor of the Blue Apartments, talked to us earlier, and he did start to address my one concern on this, and I'm not sure I got it totally resolved with the staff, was about parking. Clearly, we need affordable housing. We all know that, and this does address that. I'm a tad concerned and would love to hear what everybody else says as we go through this, but when you only have one parking spot per unit, and 5 of those are on the street, seems a little bit skinny to me, and you have no guest parking. And by the sponsor's own admission, the way that they intend to enforce that is by giving people a tag and tow people if they're in the wrong spot. That just doesn't feel right to me, but I'm going to kind of yield to everybody else and see what they think. But economically, I get the numbers, it makes sense, but the parking, I'm wondering if we're maybe setting ourselves up for a little bit of trouble there, and see if there's not some way we can deal with that. But other than that, Mayor, I support the rest of the things on the agenda, and that's all I had, sir.
Thanks, Commissioner Gray. Commissioner Ortiz?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Gray. On Tuesday and Wednesday, September 22nd and 23rd, my office and the Englewood community team collaborated with the census to encourage residents to respond to the 2020 census. We planted signs along the Summer Corridor and set up a drive-through to assist those who might need help responding. It was quite an experience. On Tuesday, September 29th, I joined the Orlando Police Department and Orlando firefighters department for a virtual District 2 National Night Out celebration. Although we did not get to hold our usual National Night Out kickoff at Sedano's, we were still able to advocate for the importance of neighborhood watch and encourage residents to start groups in their own communities. I want to thank Georgiana Butler, Carl Anderson, and Lori Brooks for their hard work and putting together a successful webinar, and both chiefs. It was a very successful event anyhow. And on Saturday, October 3rd, my team and I, along with the Multicultural Affairs team, OPD, OFD, and the Englewood Neighborhood Center, partnered with Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida and Mega TBO 21 to distribute free meals to 180 families. This year, the City of Orlando could not host its traditional Hispanic Heritage Month opening ceremony at City Hall, so we decided to celebrate by giving back to the community. We made sure that people knew that Mayor, you, and Commissioner Hill, the commissioners were assisting another event downtown. So I want to thank you to the Hispanic Heritage Month Steering Committee, the volunteers, and city staff for putting together this amazing event. It was very successful, and thank you everybody. Mayor, on item C15, I spoke to staff and to the developers, the owner of this particular project, 61 one-bedroom units, less than 500 feet, and 12 two-bedrooms, not very in tune with the demographics in that area or with the needs. I am all about affordable housing. God knows that I am. My district has plenty, and we always welcome good projects. And this particular project in its basis seemed like a good one, but there was no real assessment of the area to understand the idiosyncrasies of this community. This is a 2-lane street with no shoulder space for parking space, heavily transited due to the fact that it is a principal access to Roberto Clemente Middle School. They want to place 5 parking spaces out on the street, no visitors parking space. This would probably work next to a university, a college, or maybe downtown, but not in this particular area. We already have plenty of issues in that particular street, code enforcement and other issues. This would only aggravate things. An analogy would be packing sardines in a can. It would be so tight. Just to show you, the complex next to this property has 188 apartments, 445 parking spaces. The complex was given, this particular one was given a 30 units density bonus. When I asked why such a large bonus, they said it's a tight fit. The answer was that there was no revenue or it would be no benefit to the owners. This is to benefit the community, not the developers. At the end of the day, this is to benefit the community and those in need. And it would not be fair for us to pack people in an apartment where we know that in this day and age, especially in that particular area, for you to move around, you need a vehicle. There's only a bus that goes through the Summer Corridor every so often. And the study that was shown is a national study, doesn't apply particularly to this particular area. I worked this area for over 25 years, 14 years as a law enforcement officer. And I've been here for 12 years. And even before, I live in the area for X amount of years. So I know my community and I know what we can give and what we cannot. I try to work with the developers, but it seems like they've fixated in something. I asked for crime-free multi-housing. I asked for them to cooperate, to check maybe with the development next door to see if there can be some sort of arrangement for parking spaces. Because at the end of the day, it's a community who's going to be affected by this. And the city is going to have to come up with services, extra services, to be able to comply to help that community, even more so than what we do now. So the idea of having a tow truck coming over and picking up vehicles, I don't particularly care for that. I much rather people to be able to park and not having to worry about something like that. So I don't think, even though the rendering looks very nice, I don't think it's a good project for the community. I hope my fellow commissioners consider this in their vote. I would be more than willing to continue working with them to see what we can do to help them out. But this particular project, the way it's stated right now, is no good for our community.
Why don't we do this? And I anticipate substantial discussion. It's probably would be more appropriate to hear this on this business than during the course of an agenda comments. But if there's no objection, what I'm going to ask is that we defer this item to the next meeting, give staff and Commissioner Ortiz an opportunity to work with the developer, and then hear this as new business rather than as a consent agenda item. Any objection to that?
Not at all. I want to work with them. It's just that, you know, the way they want this is just not possible.
Okay, then without objection, that is what we'll do. We'll defer this item.
Mayor, I'm a little confused. I think is it C14 that we're talking about?
15.
15 I have as a voluntary annexation on North Nona.
You might have an old agenda, Commissioner. The meeting minutes and approving the actions of the MPB for August the 18th, Blue Apartments, which is
Blue Apartments. Yeah.
September 21st.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes, Commissioner.
I don't have objective, but I do want to make a comment, so I don't have to do it on mine. Is that I do want to know what demographics mean when Commissioner Ortiz said this demographic. So I would like for someone to explain that to me. And also, as we look at the models that they're in Paramore Oaks specifically, everyone does not have a parking lot. There's about 4 parks on the side of the street, which is a 2-lane. I mean, so I don't want it to where we can do this kind of stuff on the west side because it's certain demographics. But when it comes to affordable housing on the east side, now we're going to complain about somebody not being able to park when these folks need somewhere to stay that need affordable housing. So as we move forward, this is the second time it's being deferred, but we don't do this when we're talking about affordable housing on the west side of I-4.
Commissioner, I think that we're probably going to end up making some policy here, if not at least some precedent. So the issues are we need affordable housing.
That's right.
How the parking works.
Let me explain the demographics I'm talking about for the understanding and the intellectual expansion here. We're talking about Latino community that works. A lot of them works in construction. A lot of them have more than one car. One-on-one basis is not going to work. This is the community that I've grown up with for the past almost 30 years. I understand this community. I'm not comparing. I've never stepped on your community, but to decide yes or no, because I follow your guidance on your community. I hope you respect that on my community too.
Well, do you know that I have just as many Hispanics in my affordable housing than African Americans? The majority is Hispanics.
Latinos, you mean?
Yes, sir. Well, however you want to call it. You know, you have a problem with being brown or white or however you want to call it, Commissioner. Latinos, Hispanic, Black, brown, you know.
The only reason why I say Latinos is because Brazilians, just for your information, are Latinos while they're not Hispanic. But it's okay. You're learning something.
Thanks for teaching me.
Okay, so everybody's good with deferring this, and we know that we need to talk about affordable housing, and we need to talk about parking are the primary issues related to this. So I will have staff prepared to give us a full presentation related to this at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Ortiz, did you have anything else?
No, I'm forward. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope it works. It's just that The way it stands right now is really tight, and we want to make sure that particular street, as I said, we have a lot of traffic because of Roberto Clemente Middle School, and there's no shoulders for cars to be parked. So it's going to be a nightmare for everybody. So.
Okay, do you have any items, other items?
I'm good, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. And yeah, thank you for deferring that. I was going to recommend that when it got to me. I appreciate it. A couple of things I just want to cover briefly. Firstly, on September 29th, last week, we had a National Night Out kickoff, virtual kickoff. I appreciate the work that Georgina Butler and our staff have done over there to make sure this was successful. And so that brings us to tomorrow night is National Night Out, and we're planning on having good virtual meetings with a couple of drive-bys as we have socially distanced people in the community. I want to say a special thanks to you, Mayor Dyer and OFD, for helping us celebrate the 100th birthday of one of our citizens in my district. I appreciate that. I want to say also congratulations to Glenn Clausen and Ivanhoe Park Brewing, and to Christian Witzer, President and Executive Director of our awesome Ivanhoe Village Main Street, and to City's Cassandra Lafser, all being selected for 40 under 40 as leaders in our community. So congratulations to those three. That's a good class, and each of them deserve the honor as far as that's concerned. Tonight, the College Park Neighborhood Association will continue their virtual community conversations, and they will begin starting a dialogue on peace and justice, which will begin starting next week. I'll be going through 4 sessions. Really excited about them trying to take on that leadership and looking for sponsors to help make sure they get the word out. They're paying the costs of all the work, but we want sponsors to get the work out. Lou Gardens is having a socially distanced event over on October 17th on their annual jazz and blues concert. All the information about being socially distanced and a limited number of people that can attend are on their website. So please get a chance to go over and check that out. And then the last is today is the deadline to register to vote. So it's if you haven't done that already, please take an opportunity to do that. Registering to vote and the census are the 2 most important things that we can do as citizens. And that both are wonderful privileges and opportunities for us to have an impact on how we run our government. So please take a chance to do that. And then once early voting starts, we'll be over at the Amway Center as one of our central locations. And Mayor, I appreciate the work that you've done about accomplishing that. Onto the agenda today, the only thing I'd just like to share is echo comments from Commissioner Gray about the work that we do with our community social service agencies, the work that we do with those who are reaching out and touching parts of our community, our chance to be supportive of them, and including the arts and those agencies. I appreciate the work that Marcia and Julie Tyndall have done. They continue to work hard to make sure that that is working well. And we're the envy of those in our community for how we run the program. So I appreciate them so much in accomplishing their work. And this is the 1 year, the first year I haven't got to actually do a disclosure, Mayor, because I'm no longer employed. I retired from there, so I don't have to say it now. Commissioner Burns has to say it. So I'm I'm glad you got my script, Commissioner Burns. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you. I think we continue to keep that up, as well as there's a couple of small things that we do like that throughout the community that really make our community great. And I appreciate your leadership in accomplishing that. I'll speak briefly on Salty Donut is one that's on there today as a facade grant. We just got a lot of little things that we do where we touch our communities, and oftentimes we don't tell our story quite well enough. We do get a chance to have an impact on the lifestyle and the life of our community. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sheehan.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. It's good to see everybody, if only virtually. And we were supposed to go face-to-face on this city council. I understand the governor's going to have us go face-to-face on the next city council. In my opinion, this is not safe for the board, the public, or for our staff. The governor controls the rules for the Sunshine Law, which neither he nor the legislators have to follow. I don't think a lot of our constituents are aware of that. They do not have to have their meetings in public, but they risk the health and safety of every city council member across the state, every county commission member across the state, as well as the public that has to come to those meetings that are forced to participate face to face. There is absolutely no reason why we can't continue to do virtual. It's a safe way to do it. Everybody's pretty much got it down. And I don't understand this force to try to get everybody back face to face when it's just not safe for it. I want to commend Mayor Dyer and this commission for making a commitment to our own employees and saying that we're not going to open up City Hall until, the first of the year, because it's not safe to do so. I also want to commend the mayor and city council for providing remote working arrangements and the necessary personal protective equipment for our employees, including our police and firefighters. This pandemic is not over. We still have over 100 cases of coronavirus in Orange County per day. In Orange County, we have had 40,329 cases. 14,315 Floridians have died. These were not expendable people. These were someone's relatives, and these were people other people cared about. So I do not think it is appropriate to play Russian roulette with your health. The president of the United States is in the hospital right now. If we can't protect him, how are we supposed to protect anybody else? And the rest of us don't have access to that kind of health care and those kind of experimental drugs that can save our lives. So I don't think it's safe. I think that we should continue to wear masks, as Mayor Dyer and Mayor Demings has suggested. It is important to social distance and patronize businesses that keep you safe. I feel pretty passionate about this, and I think it's the most responsible thing that we can do. On to the agenda today. I think it's awesome that Commissioner Gray and I had almost the same comments going into this about National Night Out. I thought that was a great virtual meeting, as well as Jeffrey, who is an absolute treasure. Commissioner Gray, the only thing I'm jealous about is that you got the dog before I got a piece in my district. I think Jeffrey is absolutely amazing. We've been friends for years, and he really is a treasure. And if you get a chance to go to the Orlando Museum of Art, they have a very good social distance. Everybody must wear a mask. They've got folks from the hospital taking temperatures. They've really got it down at the Orlando Museum of Art. You owe it to yourself to see this exhibit. It is wonderful. So, and I just think it's great that my more conservative colleague and I agree on so much on this agenda. So absolutely.
There we go.
There we go. And so there's a lot that could bring us together, a lot more than divides us, right, Commissioner Gray? And I also want to talk about the arts and cultural organizations, the community service organizations, all the groups that are doing great work in this community. They need our help now more than ever. I'm delighted to see that some of the community service organizations have been very successful in doing virtual fundraising, but we really need to still keep these organizations in mind, especially Second Harvest Food Bank, because the need is so great right now in terms of helping others when they've been unemployed. And we're hearing now that a lot of these layoffs have become permanent, and some of these folks have never been laid off in their entire career. So we need to make sure that we continue to fund these community service organizations that are doing very, very important work within the community. We talked about Dr. Theron Bowman and working with Bethune-Cookman College. I'm very excited about that. Seeing how we can do a better job in law enforcement and be more responsive to the needs of our community. I think that's great. My comment briefly on Blue Apartments is I hope there's some way to work this out, because I do believe that that we need to get affordable housing, but there's always been an ask with affordable housing to do less parking. And while on some of my, like Blue Reeves Terrace, I've always got ample parking available, but you know, but I've got a lot of seniors. So I think you need to really look at the mix of people in affordable housing before you make these determinations, because I think the seniors are actually the ones that use the public transit, not so much people who are having to go to work, because again, you can't get to work the way our transit just is not good enough yet. We're not working on 15-minute like they do in other large cities where you can catch a bus every 15 minutes. We're not on those yet. So if it's an hour and you miss your bus, you're going to be late to work. So I don't think we're quite there yet with mass transit, but I do agree we need more affordable housing. And I think there's a way for us to figure this out. So I'm glad we're going to be seeing that later. I'm glad to see the business assistance program for personal service, retail, and restaurant uses raising the cap. Again, very important to do right now. Main Street and market agreements. I think the Main Streets are doing great work right now under very difficult circumstances. And we do have an artwork agreement for Jeffrey at Caravan Court and Grand National Boulevard. I'm just bummed that it's not in downtown. So again, he's doing more work throughout our city, and I'd love to see more happening. I'm just bummed that Orange County beat us to the punch on this one too. This is the great with Orange County. And again, Best Foot Forward, our annual funding agreement, they do great work too, in terms of making sure that people are obeying their crosswalks and pedestrian safety. And that's all I had on the agenda today, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Sheehan. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you, Mayor Dyer, and good afternoon, council, and to everyone out there. First and foremost, I want to urge the community to complete your 2020 census. We have a new deadline. Today was going to be the deadline, but we have now until the 31st to make sure that everyone is counted. So let's stand up and be counted. There's so many different things attached to this, like many of the dollars that we receive to help with what's on the agenda on our A3 through 5, all of our community service initiatives. Also, in addition to that, if you have not registered, please register today to vote in the general election. Today is the last day of registration. With that being said, I will not say who to vote for, but please let your voices be heard by voting. Also, as was stated so eloquently by Mayor Dyer and just now by Commissioner Sheehan, we are witnessing major figures in our country that have experienced or are experiencing COVID-19 in both sports, the government, and the public sector. So let's please remain vigilant during this pandemic by continuing to wear our masks, social distancing, proper sanitization, washing your hands. As Commissioner stated a little bit early, if nobody know COVID-19 is real, I really know it's real. Sometimes when I'm sitting, it still seems unreal that I had to bury a brother from COVID-19. But people, please do your part to stay safe and let us get through this together. I know with us doing the best that we can while we can, we will move forward sometime in the near future. But as the mayor says, our new norm is a mask. We have to accept that. I don't understand why people aren't wearing masks.
Commissioner, you hit the mute button by accident.
Thank you. So on Tuesday, September the 22nd, I joined Mayor Dyer, Mayor Dimmons, Commissioner Siplin, and the Center for Multicultural Wellness Prevention as they had their 17th annual Caribbean Health Summit, and the topic was COVID-19, as appropriate as it should be. And Mayor Dyer talked about some of the initiatives and things that we're doing here in the city of Orlando as it related to COVID-19, from a health component and an economic component. And it was well-versed, Mayor, and you did an excellent job. And I think a lot of great information came forward. On Wednesday, 23rd, the mayor and I witnessed Ivy Leaves. As we know, Callahan Park there is the park that I grew up in. And during COVID, we still have been having small little groups of youth from the community to meet, because oftentimes that was their safety haven and where they got their meals and their secondary family. And with that, Mr. Everett Spurl, which is also an African-American artist here in the Orlando, Central Florida, and I think renowned throughout the nation. He worked with our kids, and me and the mayor put some banners that replicated many of the pioneers there in Paramore. Many of the historic artifacts that are still there are no longer there. And some folks that are currently leaders there in the Paramore area. And it's just beautiful. If you guys get a chance to go see it, it'll be great. And Mayor Dyer, hopefully I won't have to die before I get a banner. Oh, I kid. On Monday, September the 28th, we had our virtual National Night Out. It was well attended with all of the different HOA and neighborhood associations in District 5. It was a little bit different, but we had a great time. I'd like to thank also Captain Quinn Henry, Officer Richard Patterson, Cara Anderson, Georgina Butler, and the whole OPD team for organizing this year's virtual night out. It was touch and go there for a moment, just by learning how to unmute different folks on a big screen, but we got through it and we did a special memorial for Mrs. Vinnie Kennedy, who myself and Mayor Dyer attended her funeral this Saturday. And thank you, Mayor. I think, Mayor, one of the most impactful parts, it was a beautiful funeral, but for me, what was one of the most impactful part, and hopefully it made you feel good. We probably didn't know where Ricardo was going there
No,
for
it
a
did
minute.
not.
But he stated to Mayor Dyer, he said, Mayor Dyer, when you came in the office, you said you're going to clean up Paramore, and you came and you knocked down Paramore Village down. He said, you know where that is, Commissioner Hill, you was there with me. And he goes, and I was very angry with you, Mayor. He said, but I got to tell you, now going 20 years later, I thank you, because Paramore Oaks is beautiful and something we all could be proud of. And I think that's where we are in this city. And under Mayor Dyer's leadership, we were able to open up the Julian there and create a village also last week, which is a market rate. And I went back and doubled back, Mayor Dyer, after we gave the balls out to the kids in Paramore. And what I saw was different than what I thought, because we thought this was market rate. What I saw was college kids coming in and becoming roommates to live there on that beautiful property. So it's all inclusive, and it is just what we thought it would be for young professionals and college students. And that's who they're targeting, and they're doing a great job. And, you know, I might get it wrong, Commissioner Ortiz, so forgive me. But the 3 kids that were coming in to sign up for a 2-bedroom that I met, they were a Latino/Hispanic kid, however you want to pose it, a white kid, and a black kid. And they were becoming roommates. And to me, that's what District 5 and Orlando represent. And to see that vision come through at Creative Village of this holistic place where it's an educational hub, where it's an economic hub, and also just a place of unity. And so I wasn't trying to be disrespectful or get in anyone's business or anything of that nature. But when we see these apartment complexes come up that's affordable, and we say demographics, affordable is affordable. And po folk come in all hues and all colors and all ethnicities. People that need a helping hand just need a helping hand. It doesn't matter if they come from China, if they come from Africa, if they come from Europe or Puerto Rico. We got to help them. Many of these folks don't even have cars. So hopefully as we move forward, staff and Commissioner Ortiz and the developer can come up with a plan, as he stated, that help the community. But I must tell you, Orlando is a melting pot, and there is no Black community no more. There's no Latina community no more, no Hispanic community. It is a community where everybody's rising, and we must create these ecosystems. You have the, as you guys were talking about, I thought about, you got now Robert Clemente School there. It's almost sound like a little model of what we're trying to do in Creative Village when we talk about education, transit. I know the buses might not come by there as often as we like, but it's buses that's coming by there. I can tell you, even in Metro West District 5, Mayor Dyer and Council, if folks that don't live in the complex because it's tight parking, had it where I lived over in Stonebridge in Metro West. The complexes tow the cars. So that's not just for pole folk, that's just how they kind of monitor the parking in those parking lots. And if you don't have a guest pass and you're parked in one of those lots, you will be towed. So that's going on in District 5 as well as throughout the city in complexes that have built but have smaller allotments for parking. So hopefully we can get this going. Thank you to all those that are doing the work, boots on the ground, with our community initiatives, and I look forward to working with you. And with that, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner, and Commissioner Burns.
Okay, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you. This past week, I had the pleasure of joining Chief Rolone and the Orlando Police Department for our National Night Out, the virtual experience. This was my first National Night Out as a elected commissioner. So it was different, but I enjoyed the time that we were able to spend with our residents. I also want to thank Carl Anderson from OPD for putting it together and for the residents of District 6 for joining us. I also like to thank Chief Barksdale from the Orlando Fire Department for joining us and his commitment to the residents of our community. On Thursday, October 1st, I had the pleasure of hosting a virtual community town hall for our residents in District 6. I'd like to thank Captain Carter Gowan, my liaison officer, James Smith, George and Corey from Code Enforcement, and Onika, Joseph, and Leo, and Mike from Family Parks and Recreations for giving our residents vital updates on services and amenities, as well as entertaining questions that our residents had. We had robust turnout, and I look forward to continue to work with our residents as we move District 6 and our City of Orlando forward. Also, I want to briefly mention that, as was mentioned before, today is the last day to register to vote in Florida. And if you want to participate in November's election, civic engagement is vital to a fully functioning democratic society. And while many of us, our residents, are engaged electorally, my hope is that we can get more of them to get active civically. Visit registertovoteflorida.gov to register today. Also, additionally, as was mentioned, the census has been extended until October 31st. So glad to hear that, because we definitely need to be counted. And if you watch these meetings on a regular basis, you probably are tired of hearing us talk about the importance of completing the census. But I promise that we'll be quiet if you just fill out the census. So please fill it out, get counted, so we can ensure that the resources and the representation of our communities, we receive that. Lastly, let's all remember that the coronavirus is still here and is not going anywhere. And unfortunately, our country has lost over 200,000 lives to the virus. And here in Central Florida, I believe the count is about 2,200. My heart goes out to those who've lost loved ones because of the virus. And as a reminder, please continue to wash your hands, wear masks, practice physical distancing when possible, and take this virus seriously. We want to make sure that everyone is safe and healthy. Mayor, as it relates to the consent agenda, I'd like to highlight items 13 and 14. 13, a contract with Bethune-Cookman University for the law enforcement and community engagement training, as well as the contract with the Bowman Group. The Bowman Group will be analyzing police data, policies and practices, recommend reforms, provide technical assistance to implement those recommendations, and to establish a data-driven process to evaluate results. And so, we have listened to the residents and heard their concerns and suggestions. And I believe that bringing these two groups in is a logical next step. And I look forward to their analysis and their recommendations. Also, I second the statements regarding items A3 through A5, and thank those nonprofits and community-based organizations for all the work that they do day in, day out for our disadvantaged and marginalized community members. With that said, I would also like to declare a conflict on item A3. And for a number of years, I have served as president and CEO of the Healthcare Center for the Homeless. And item A3 on today's consent agenda is a CIP funding to the Healthcare Center for the Homeless to address homelessness. I'd like to note that none of my compensation will come from those funds received pursuant to this funding award, and that I have not participated in any way in any way. Additionally, I have filed, I've completed Form 8B, Memorandum of Voting Conflict, and will file it with the city clerk and will abstain from voting on that item. And with that said, Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicates so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, without objection, we will recess the city council meeting and convene the CRA. First item of business is workshop minutes, budget workshop minutes.
Move to approve.
August.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor, motion indicates so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2 is CRA Advisory Board meeting minutes from August 26th.
Move to
So
approve.
moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. All in favor of the motion indicates so by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. 3 is approving CRA minutes from September 8th.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicates so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, Thomas, number 4 is an agreement with the Economic Partnership relating to our small business rental assistance program.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Item number 4, as the Mayor said, is approving a CRA small business rental assistance program. As you, of course, are aware, the DT Outlook, our community redevelopment area plan, calls on the CRA to stimulate business within downtown in other ways, but also by encouraging the retention and continued existence of businesses. Obviously, many small businesses within downtown area have been adversely impacted by COVID-19. So the purpose of the Small Business Rental Assistance Program is to provide relief for businesses in order to retain those businesses within the downtown area. The program would provide up to $5,000 per month for either rental assistance or loan payment assistance for those businesses that own their own building and operate a qualified retail business from that particular building for a period of up to 6 months, or not to exceed of $30,000 per qualified application. Those funds, however, would only be made available on a one-to-one matching basis, so that either the landlord or the lender would have to provide a dollar-for-dollar match by either deferring, discounting, or abating the rent or the loan payment in an amount that would be equally matched with a deferred loan, which is forgivable from the CRA. Again, $5,000 per month for up to 6 months, not to exceed $30,000. As mentioned, the Orlando Economic Partnership would actually handle the applications and process them. And our funding would be a deferred loan, which is forgivable. Advisory Board does recommend approval, and staff is requesting that CRA approve the CRA Small Business Rental Assistance Program and the agreement between the Orlando Economic Partnership, or OEP, and the CRA, and authorize the chair and the executive director of the CRA to execute the agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mayor, I have a question.
Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there discussion, comment, question?
Mayor, I have a question.
Commissioner Stewart.
Thomas, I was going through the sheet that you passed out, and I guess the question is that as the matching grant includes a deferral as an option versus the idea that it is either discounted or taken away. It seems to me that a deferral is effectively almost a double dip for these particular clients. Can you kind of explain that again for me briefly, if you don't mind?
Yes, sir, certainly. So as in drafting the program, Commissioner, we did speak to several of the larger landlords within the area, and we talked to several of the tenants in the area. And so if you discuss this with them, you will find that one of the ways, in fact, probably the most popular way right now, where lenders or landlords are assisting small businesses with rent or a loan payment, is to defer that payment. So if your lease has got another 2 years on it, and you can get deferred for 6 months, then your lease becomes 2 years and 6 months. But over that next 6 months, which is so critical and vital now because of COVID-19, it gives you that relief. So we thought it was very important that we leverage the CRA funds by requiring the one-to-one match. But a deferral is one way that would qualify, in addition to obviously an abatement or reduction in the rent.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it when we talked, but to me, it's a math problem. So if I owe 10,000 a month and I can get 5,000 from the city and take the 5,000 and defer it over the next year.
Well, the way the program would work is, to use your example, if let's say a business owes $15,000 a month in rent, if they could get their landlord to either defer, abate, or reduce the rent, either of the three, by $5,000 a month for 6 months, then and they qualified otherwise, then we would match that $5,000 per month for 6 months. So a business that had a $15,000 loan bill would actually end up having to pay 1/3 of their rent for that 6-month period, just $5,000, because they would have had $5,000 would have been either reduced or abated or deferred, so they not have to pay it during that period. And we would have matched it with our deferred grant, a deferred loan, which becomes a forgivable loan of $5,000.
I understand. And I want to sit with you and talk a little bit more in detail, because I think the word deferral is getting me a little bit off guard. Because the idea is that if it's 15,000 and I defer 5,000 of that because the city's going to pay the 5,000, I'm still getting my 15,000 and I'm getting 5,000 too. So I'm trying to figure out your math program. So if the idea is that they're going to defer the balance of if it's 15,000 and we give them 5,000, we're going to defer the balance of the 10,000 as part of the match. Then I'm completely okay with that. I just don't want the landlord to double dip because we have a revenue stream from the city. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Understood. And again, the way that we understood that it would work and be received by landlords, and it's most popularly received by landlords, is that they would, as the example I use, extend a lease by an additional 6 months as they defer the immediate 6 months coming up. And we felt that deferral, which would grant that relief to that business for the next 6 months, was critical and crucial during this time of the pandemic. And that's why we felt that it should qualify as well.
I understand.
Let's
talk about it some more after the meeting.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Let you and I talk about it a little bit some more after the meeting so I get a better understanding of the deferral. But I'm in favor of it. I'm trying to make sure we don't let guys double dip on us.
Understood. Happy to do that.
Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. All right, Thomas, let's see, revised retail program.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 5 is approving CRA retail stimulus program. This is a revision on a program originally conceived in 2010 during the Great Recession, if you recall. This revised stimulus program, we think, is more consistent with the redevelopment goals and principles set forth in the DT Outlook in 2015 related to retail revitalization. The purpose of the revised program is to attract quality retail businesses in downtown and to achieve high caliber, high quality interior build outs of retail establishments within the core of downtown. Qualified applicants would be eligible for up to a 50% match of their tenant improvements, not to exceed $75,000, and a one-time award of up to $25,000 in rental assistance to be utilized over the first 12 months within downtown. Applicants obviously were focused on businesses moving into the area from outside of the area. However, businesses already in the area who were relocating and or expanding could qualify if they were enlarging their businesses by a minimum of 125%. So if they moved and they did not enlarge their business by 125%, they could not qualify. Or if they just enlarged their business by 10%, they wouldn't qualify. But again, if they enlarged by more than 125%, they could qualify existing businesses. I'd like to point out though that this program is for retail and consumer service uses only. Bars, nightclubs, tattoo parlors, office use, and professional services such as finances and legal services, insurance, and real estate are excluded and therefore not eligible from this retail stimulus program. Again, the advisory board does recommend approval, and staff is requesting approval of the revised CRA retail stimulus program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Burns. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, budget amendment 1.
Thank you, Mayor. Number 6 is approving budget amendment 1 for the fiscal year 2019-2020. CRA is seeking here approval to transfer funds in the amount of $2 million between line items. The transfer would come out of the project DTO line item and be transferred to our high wage, high value business retention line item to fund business retention programs including, I should say, but not limited to the small business rental assistance program and the retail stimulus program that you just approved. Advisory board does recommend approval, and staff is requesting approval of the community development budget amendment 1 and budget resolution 1, amending the 2019-2020 CRA budget as stated in the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Burns. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, trophy room funding agreement.
Thank you, sir. Item number 7 is approving a trophy room funding agreement. This, of course, is consistent with the redevelopment plan's goals of attracting employers and activating storefronts and improving retail-ready space within downtown, as well as pursuing diversification of retail options within the area. The trophy room opened its doors in May of 2016 in Disney Springs, and they operated there into 2019, at which time they set their sights on relocating into downtown Orlando. The company is owned and founded by Marcus Jordan, who is one of the sons of Michael Jordan, and who is a UCF grad. The new location will provide services such as t-shirt customization, a retro Jordan display, and exclusive trophy room apparel, as well as what they call a breakfast club, which is a special atmosphere for sneaker and fashion enthusiasts to the network. The company is called Air LLC. They do business as the trophy room, and they've applied for funding under the program just approved for a space located at 50 South Roslyn, which is within the building right there on Roslyn between Pine and Central, Modera. Funding that we receive would be used for doors, windows, drywall, plumbing, and other uses within the downtown, within the build out. The total cost associated with the build out on the trophy room exceeds $531,000. And so the applicant will be eligible for the maximum, which is $75,000 or 50%, whichever is less. In this case, $75,000, as well as the 1 year rental assistance of $25,000, making the total funding available for this particular application of $100,000. Again, the advisory board has recommended approval, and staff is requesting approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Is there any further business come before the CRA, Thomas?
There's none, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you all.
Then without objection, we'll stand adjourned and we will reconvene the city council meeting. We have no new business. We'll move to hearings, ordinances on second reading. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance number 2020-35, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located east of Narcousie Road, south of Kirby Smith Road, and west of Lake Whippoorwill, and comprised of 17.25 acres of land, more or less, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as urban village in part and conservation in part on the city's official future land use map, and to establish a sub-area policy to provide detailed development criteria, providing for consent to the municipal services taxing unit for Lake Whippoorwill, providing for amendment of the city's growth management plan, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, is there anyone that wants to testify on this matter?
No, Mayor.
Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, number 2, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance number 2020-48, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, rezoning certain land generally located on the north side of East South Street between South Forest Avenue and South Glenwood Avenue and comprised of 4.83 acres of land, more or less, from one family residential zoning district with the traditional city and aircraft noise overlay districts to the planned development zoning district with the traditional city and aircraft noise overlay districts, providing a site plan and special land development regulations of the planned development district, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Is there anyone that wants to testify on this, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mayor. We have Javier Omana. State your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon. This is Javier Romano with the firm of CPH, 1117 East Robinson Street, Orlando, Florida, 32801. Here representing the developer, Surrey Homes, and the contract holder. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Sheehan for her support, staff, and we look forward to moving on to the next step. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Anybody else, Madam Clerk?
No, Mayor.
Okay, discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance number 2020-49, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to regional public facility identification signage, approving an amendment to the sign plan for the Amway Center and the Geico Garage pursuant to section 64.320 Orlando City Code, providing for conflicts, penalties, severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Burns. Madam Clerk,
No public comment.
discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 4.
Ordinance number 2020-50, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the planned development zoning district for the Crescent Park Planned Development generally located west of Conway Road between Crescent Park Boulevard and Winona Drive, comprised of approximately 14.5 acres, amending the planned development district's development plan and conditions of development, directing amendment of the official zoning map series, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Stewart. Madam Clerk, anyone that wants to testify?
No, Mayor.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to ordinances on first reading. The first one was deleted, I think, by the developer. So number 2.
Ordinance number 2020-51, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to the sign code, amending Chapter 64, Parts 2C and 8, and creating Chapter 64, Part 2E, Land Development Code to modify high-rise sign requirements, amend digital sign requirements in the Downtown Special Sign District, expand the boundaries of the Downtown Special Sign District, and provide for creative design exceptions, providing legislative findings and for codification, correction of scrivener's error, severability, and an effective date.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
There is no public comment, Mayor.
Okay, thanks.
My apologies.
All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, and number 3, ordinances.
Ordinance number 2020-52, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for certain land generally located at the northwest corner of West Sand Lake Road and Kings Point Parkway, comprised of 9.57 acres of land, more or less, from mixed-use corridor medium intensity to industrial, changing the property zoning designation from the medium intensity mixed-use corridor district to the industrial park district, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Mr. Burns.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Hill. Is there anyone who wants to testify on this matter?
No, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, PJ, let us know when we're ready for general appearance.